Hey guys, welcome back to the Cult Classic Cage Show, and today we are celebrating Akira Toriyama, his life, his work, and how his contributions has left such a profound impact on my childhood, on my life, and even into my young adulthood. And well, today I'm wearing Vegeta Baby, his I guess his not so liked character, a character I guess that he didn't see what fans loved so much about him, but Akira Toriyama is an interesting guy, and it shows in his work. And I guess we should start from the very beginning because, hell, I remember as a kid watching the very premiere of Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. I was maybe like 6 years old. I didn't really know what to expect. They had given promos for it, and it looked really cool, and I had to watch it. I remember it being like 5 p.m. I remember sitting in my little kid recliner, really just instantly enamored by the art, by the colors, just in this rather humble episode that really just instantly draws you to loving Goku and Gohan. Gohan running through the forest, Goku trying to find his son so they can go off and visit some old friends, and it really would perfectly set up Gohan being kidnapped and the viewer being instantly, behind Goku and rescuing his son. And I was instantly hooked, and I had to watch every single episode every single day. It was such a treat to get what I believed was a cartoon at the time, because I was 6. I had no idea what Japanese, cartoons were. Had no idea what anime was. I knew nothing. But I was there for the experience because, well, I was obsessed as far back as I can remember with Bruce Lee. I was obsessed with martial arts, and I would love to copy martial arts, and just any fix that I can get of martial arts and anything sort of in the vein of Bruce Lee. I would even watch Power Rangers. And mind you, after I started watching Dragon Ball Z, I instantaneously gave up on Power Rangers because I was like, man, this ain't nothing, man. I want to watch Dragon Ball Z. It's like, that's like the hardcore stuff, I guess I thought when I was a kid. And I remember all the Kamehameha waves. I remember, throwing my hands up for a spirit bomb. I remember throwing fists as fast as I can to try and replicate the bursts of fights that characters would have. And when I was a kid, I was a Goku girl. I was obsessed with Goku. He was my dude. And you couldn't tell me anything bad about Goku. And man, it's just from the toys. I showed on live stream the artwork that I drew that was really nothing in comparison to Akira Toriyama himself. But I remember as a kid during those summer days where I was stuck in the house drawing because, Dragon Ball Z was the only thing I could think about. But I just would, I had the art books and I would try and replicate and do my own thing even. And I used to love drawing battle damaged characters, stuff like that, man. And my first experience with Akira Toriyama's actual work really was going to C-Town, A-C-Town, in Queens, New York, and seeing, and Dragon Ball Z was still relatively new. I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, it was like early Frieza saga stuff going on between, Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin having gone to that journey to Planet Namek. But I remember seeing at a C-Town comic books of Akira Toriyama's work, and I'm not joking when I say comic books. They essentially took the manga and laid it out like actual American comic books. And when I saw it, I had no idea Dragon Ball Z had comics, and I begged my mom for it. I'm like, I have to have it. I have to have it. And so she was kind enough to have gotten it for me after enough begging. And I would read them cover to cover, and they were exactly the same as comics, reading from obviously, left to right, having, that whole setup of what a comic book would be. But it just being, traditional manga paper, but blown up to being a comic book. And I wish I still had those. There's such a anomaly, really. It's not something we would ever think would happen now because manga is so accepted now. But back then, manga was not really accepted. I had no idea what manga was. I was confused with the concept of reading right to left when I was first introduced to it years later. So imagine me. I would have definitely, as a 6-year-old, I would have definitely read it backwards, thinking I was doing something correct. But that was the first experience I had with his artwork. And I remember bringing it to school. My teacher found out that I was reading comic books and said, no, you must read a novel. So I would sneak them in whenever I could. But hell, to get into some of, the things that I've collected over the years, and mind you, it's not everything. There's some things that unfortunately I don't have anymore. There's some things that, hell, I can't fit anymore here. But I guess we can discuss, the toys that I did retain from my childhood. And here's definitely the best one, really, which is a Future Trunks figure. And I absolutely adored this figure because, guys, back when I was a kid, there wasn't really many toys that had an immense level of detail to them. I mean, they were great for their time. I absolutely loved them. But when I saw this figure, just, damn, camera won't do it justice, but like just his clothing, this definitely has taken some damage from fights in my youth. But the artist definitely put some of their own into this figure, man. I have to give them props. I think they did a really good job for, kind of doing their own thing while still bringing together an amazing Future Trunks figure. And I also had the Gogeta figure from this line, and it's a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And his fur had such insane detail. And like I said, guys, back then you didn't really get figures like this. And for them to be this big too, I was obsessed with this. And hell, another figure that I'd still retained from my youth is, well, this Kid Trunks. And yeah, I did unfortunately lose his belt there, his tie on his belt. But even so, I will never throw this away because it's from my childhood. And, it's pretty good figure for what it was. He was definitely super tiny in comparison to everyone else, but everyone knows that I do a pretty damn good Kid Trunks, so I definitely love to retain this little figure because, well, I think I do a better job at voicing him than, well, the current voice actress. But hey, man, it is what it is. I don't want to be hired by Funimation because, well, they're clowns, but anyway. Yeah, like those are some of the figures that I've retained from my youth. And well, I got this guy right here. I love this. I put this on my shelf where I have all my movie collection in front of me. But some of the other stuff that I got, well, some of the things that I think is super dope, a lot of it you guys don't see. But you know what? Let's just get into the stuff that you guys do see. And this is actually my favorite Future Trunks pose. And I don't think you're going to get too much. There we go. This is my favorite Future Trunks pose. It's actually one of my favorite statues, even though it's really tiny and modest. But I love Future Trunks with long hair. I love him in his pose. And I don't really show off, guys, what I got going on up here, but I might as well for you. Because, yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can do this without messing too much up. But you guys can see right there. I got Trunks in that pose and, Cell Saga, Z Fighters, and that's what we called them back in the day, Z Fighters. And I don't know, it's such a silly thing, all the stuff that we used to do and say. And I was the girl in grade school that was made fun of for liking Dragon Ball Z, for liking video games, and I didn't care. I'd rather at that time I've always been kind of a loner. I'd rather be alone with my Dragon Ball Z, my anime, and my video games being made fun of. I didn't care. The guys weren't going to accept me because I was a girl. It's always a guys club back then. And then the girls just hated me because it's like, oh, you're weird, like leave me alone. And I definitely didn't get along very well. But hey, man, the entertainment was so good that even despite having a problem making friends because it was different, I still made the best of what I had. And that, like I said, is one of my favorite figures. Well, statues. And here's one that you guys really, really love that you guys see always in the corner. But this is Ascended Saiyan Trunks, and yeah, basically my camera's gonna fight with me, but yeah, you guys love this. And I always get comments on it, and it is a heavy ass statue and so much detail. And I love this moment from Future Trunks where he ascends and does his best to really take care of business with Cell because he knows how much of a threat he is and felt as though his father was really toying and he really messed up. And unfortunately, Trunks didn't get the job done, but he did his best. And he's such an admirable guy. And really love this moment. I actually had the VHS of those string of episodes where Vegeta did, he took an L, and then Trunks tried to, save it, but ultimately failed himself. And hell, I remember when I was a kid going to Blockbuster and picking up the legendary Super Saiyan Broly on VHS and watching that multiple times in the same day. I was hooked. I couldn't help myself. I absolutely love that. I love Trunks's look, Future Trunks's look, and my only complaint with that was that Vegeta kind of bitched out, sadly. And a lot of people don't realize this because I talk about Future Trunks so much, but Vegeta's actually my favorite character. Um, Obviously, got the T-shirt, and I do stand Vegeta a lot, especially against all the Goku fans out there. To me, Goku's been for children. I loved Goku when I was a child, and then I grew up. But really, admittedly, setting the little jokes aside, what made me kind of sad to Goku was Future Trunks' first appearance, and unfortunately, Future Trunks only stays in the series, for the Cell Saga, and then he kind of moseys back to his time, and then I was like, damn, no more Future Trunks, and I really started to just gravitate towards Vegeta, and well, I guess, hey, actually, let's show off some of these figures here, because I actually got this as a gift. Shout out to my boy, my best friend, Blake. He bought me this statue because he knows how much of a Vegeta fan I am, and such great detail, man. Vegeta's an absolute badass. Always got to take the tough guy pose. And Blake actually got me another statue too, and this one is absolutely sick. This amazing sick pose of Cooler in his super form, I believe. And mind you guys, take it easy on me. I forget more than I remember about Dragon Ball Z, but mind you, my knowledge is still pretty good considering. I absolutely love this. It is sick, even with the rubble and stuff, and just this power that he has around his foot. What a fucking beast, man! If Cooler isn't canon yet, ugh, sad. But I do love the Cooler movies. And hell, I mean, let me see. We got some of the movies themselves. I actually got a couple of DVD tins here that I had since I was a kid, and my two favorite films out of all of them, History Trunks and Bardock the Father of Goku. I absolutely adore these. They're so good. They tell such depthful stories. And they're TV movies. I think that the TV movies were better in a lot of the actual, films that had higher production to them. This just came off as a part of the TV show, and I was completely fine with that. And we got here, the Broly films. Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, I really like. Broly, the Second Coming, has some of the best animation and art I've ever seen. It was okay. And then you have Bio Broly, which is just rough. But shout out to, I believe it was the second movie where Kid Trunks just takes a piss on Broly. Love it. And then we got the Cooler movies, man, because Cooler is a beast, and these are really fun flicks. I enjoy them a lot. Really good music in them too. Really just gets you fucking pumped. Really, at the end of the day. But then we got some of the things that I did include. Cooler, Vegeta. Those are stuff that you guys don't see that I have, and Here's a couple more things that I do actually have that you guys don't really see. I actually do have this. It's usually up top on the bookshelf here. You don't really get to see it, but this is, when Goku transforms for the first time. Legend, fucking badass Super Saiyan status. Absolutely adore this statue. The insane level of detail. My only complaint is that it tips over sometimes, which kind of sucks, but either way, man, the perfect angle, just everything down to his torn clothes. And I actually got this. I got this with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 Collector's Edition. I absolutely had to have it. They freaking nailed it down to the little scratches on his body. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Worth every penny. And a couple of other statues you guys don't really get to see, and actually have these two staring each other down for obvious reason if you watch the anime. But future Trunks and Goku in the Yard Rat outfit. I can't believe I remembered Yard Rat, not gonna lie, but when Goku and Trunks kind of feel each other out to see what they're capable of, and they easily, grow to respect each other in that moment when they meet for the first time. And absolutely love that episode. Love this statue, by the way. I constantly say, yeah, I got over being a Goku fan, but I end up with a F ton of his statues because he has some dope ass iconic moments. But absolutely love this. And hell, I guess I might as well throw this one in too, because this is a cool grab as well. If you had gotten the collector's edition of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, you also got this, which so awesome, harpens back to the very first episode of Dragon Ball Z. I love that they included the dinosaur. While I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, particularly because really the voice acting kills it for me. The voice acting isn't quite what it used to be if you're a fan of, the dub. But either way, worth it just for this alone. I normally put that up at the tippy top. And yeah, guys, I guess hell we should talk about some of the games, man. And you know what? Let's actually move away from Dragon Ball Z for a moment. Because you know what? Let's get into Dragon Quest just a little bit. Because, well, my first RPG game that I've ever played is entirely just based upon the fact that I recognize Akira Toriyama's artwork. And remember going to Toys R Us in Douglaston, New York. And, I had just gotten a Game Boy Color and, a couple of months prior, and I wanted something to play. At that time, I'd been playing stuff like Miss Pac-Man, Tetris. And I really wanted a new game, so Pops was like, all right, we're going to get going to Toys R Us, and I was happy. And was looking at the Game Boy Color section, and the first thing I noticed, this is Dragon Ball Z art. And I'm looking at Dragon Quest III on the Game Boy Color. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely Dragon Ball Z art, but this is Dragon Warrior. And at the time, Dragon Quest was called Dragon Warrior in the States. And I was so confused by it. It says dragon, like Dragon Ball Z, except it's Dragon Warrior. I just felt like maybe it was from a different timeline or something. I honestly, genuinely didn't know, but either way, I had to have it. Thought it was a part of Dragon Ball. So I ended up bringing it home. And the unfortunate reality of that is I was so young that I didn't know how to read too well. I was like maybe like 6. I knew basic reading, mind you, but there's definitely some things that I didn't understand quite so well, and I wasn't used to reading in video games. Like I said, I was playing Miss Pac-Man and Tetris. So at that time, there was limited knowledge in regards to gaming, and to play an RPG, you definitely have to, an RPG of that caliber, one that definitely doesn't hold your hand by any means, you had to have had a little more knowledge than what I did at the time. But either way, I played the hell out of that game. I died a lot, admittedly, and I am so highly anticipating the remake of that game that's been in development for years. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten an update on it in years, but it's following that Octopath Traveler look, which I think is amazing. I'm glad it's like it's 2D pixel art, 2D 3D pixel art kind of mix. I think it's gorgeous, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. But that was like the first, gaming experience I had, revolving around not only just an RPG game, but uh, finding that because of Akira Toriyama and his art. And well, I didn't really stick with Dragon Quest. It's one of those that kind of went on and off with a little bit. But what really grabbed me the past few years was getting Dragon Quest the definitive edition on the Nintendo Switch. This game, when I got it, I was obsessed with it. I couldn't put it down, beat it. And I can't recommend this game enough. It's definitely in my top 3 favorite of all time after having played it. And Dragon Quest just puts me in this happy place, and I'm so excited for Dragon Quest 12. Just the art is so gorgeous. The characters in this were beautiful. Just Dragon Quest just knows how to put you in your happy place, man. And I'm also looking forward to Sandland, which is, a game that is based on the manga from Akira Toriyama, also named Sandland. I'm highly anticipating that. It's kind of like this weird mix of like, it feels like Dragon Ball, but mixed with a little bit of Borderlands. And I loved, older Borderlands, and I love, obviously Dragon Ball. And so I'm really, really interested in that, crossing my fingers, hoping it's a banger. And the main game that I'm super excited for, when it was announced, I lost my shit, which is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I cannot wait for that game. While it includes Super, and honestly, I'm not really much of a fan of Super, I'm still here for the Dragon Ball Z combat. I'm still here for those characters. While maybe I may consider for the first time ever using the Japanese voice acting, because I just can't really get into the modern dub voice acting. A lot of those voice actors no longer voice act the characters, and some of them just aren't what I imagine every time, sadly. But either way, I'm still going to enjoy it, still going to have fun. And even to get into, what has me excited about this game, because I played the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi franchise. And here's the first one right here for you. This was the game where I really got to be able to genuinely just role play while playing the game. And I always say that Dragon Ball Z anime fighting games like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi or even Budokai, they're not competitive fighting games. A lot of people try to argue with me on that, but it's true. They're not competitive fighting games. They're fan service fighting games. There's a complete difference. This is not meant to be competitive. It's meant to really just make, it's for a particular group more so than what it is. It is fighting at the end of the day. It's not competitive, but games like this, anime fighting games that aren't, Dragon Ball, what is it? Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Like, that's for a competitive fighting scene. This is more so the fan service, like the actual fans of the anime. And for me, I used to role play so much with this game. It was so cool. I loved the intro. It was so weird looking in terms of art style, but it instantly drew me in. I love the little things about this game, like depending on how powerful the characters were. Some characters, you'd punch them and it would have no effect, like if you were fighting like Broly or whatever. I love that you could pick what form you would want each character to start off in. That's what made it so easy to just role play like little segments and stuff. I freaking love this game. Budokai 3 is my all-time favorite. And I got that one right here. Budokai 3 is definitely my favorite. On PS2, I unlocked everything, including, Super Saiyan 4 characters, Broly. I got everything in the game. I was obsessed with running through this game. Budokai 3 is amazing. And even, I got, Budokai OG here, but I also do have my PS2 copy. And I remember getting this at PC Richards in New York. And I was obsessed with it, man. This is a great way to run through the main story from Saiyan Saga to Cell Saga in a very condensed but just genuinely good way. I ran through this campaign so many times because they did such a good job at it. And while the fighting isn't nearly as good as Budokai 3 or even Budokai 2, it still is great for that time, and I love how they developed and built on this. I love the cutscenes in the game, you know, while they definitely look kind of silly now. At that time, I was like, man, these graphics are absolutely sick. Man, I love this game. They definitely I'm glad that they expanded on the fighting mechanics because this definitely feels a lot more stiff than sequels, but either way, man, it got the job done at the time and they ended up making more. And I remember Great Saiyaman's kick, Justice Kick was like ridiculously broken, man. He can cover a lot of ground. I remember running through the tournament and just using him to get so many ring outs. But then I also have Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Oh my god. This man, first and foremost, the character list of playable characters in this game is insane. Love it. I loved all the what if stories. This was definitely the definitive Tenkaichi game at that time, and I'm hoping Sparking Zero can live up to this. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be super hard. Honestly, I think Atari did Dragon Ball the best, at least for me. And some noteworthy ones. A game that nobody talks about, but I think genuinely it had good bones, was Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. That game came out early 360. It genuinely had good bones. I just think it needed like another year of development time. Some of the animations in that game were insane. I'm sad I don't have that game anymore. I actually sold my entire 360 collection back when I was in high school, and yeah, I made a sad error there, and I do regret it, but I'm actually planning to recollect some of this stuff for sure. And there was other 360 games that came out that I genuinely enjoyed. Raging Blast 1 and 2 I really enjoyed. The only one that I think was complete garbage was Ultimate Tenkaichi. What a piece of crap game, man. Oh my gosh, it was rock, paper, scissors through and through with nothing else. And I remember like characters' hair was like this green color. Like everyone looked like they were legendary Super Saiyans instead of just regular Saiyans in that game for some odd reason. But hell, some other games that I have here. This is the first GBA Dragon Ball game I got, which is Legacy of Goku 1. This game is dog shit. It's so bad, but at the time, I was obsessed with it. I remember playing this game while watching SpongeBob, a series I also hate. So I hated SpongeBob, but at the time I enjoyed SpongeBob. It was still relatively new, and I ended up hating this game, but at the time it was new to me and I loved it. I loved my Game Boy Advance. It's arguably my favorite platform ever. And so at the time, this was like, oh man, I was so hyped to have this. I loved the case that the GBA case that it came in. But another noteworthy one here is Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors. This was fun too. I enjoyed it for what it was. But to me, the greatest, the freaking GOAT, man. Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku 2. This is one of my all-time favorite games. I run through this game like every other year. I adore this game. It's my obsession. This to me is the ultimate Dragon Ball Z RPG game. They absolutely nailed it. I actually have multiple copies of this. I think I have a third copy somewhere. I need to preserve this any way that I can. This game means so much to me. It's a game I know too much about this game, guys. But man, I think that it runs through the story so well. Once again, from the Saiyan saga. No, wait, excuse me, not the Saiyan saga. Oh my god, I'm like, here I know everything, and then I have a brain fart. But that Cell saga, going through that, perfect. Oh my god, they nailed it. I love the dialogue. They kill it, man. They do everything right in this game for me. And being able to play as not just Goku, but Gohan, Future Trunks, Vegeta, Piccolo, so good, man. They absolutely nailed it. And a great runner-up not as good, but still damn near, and a game I run through every few years or so. Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury. To me, it's just natural that I'm not going to like this game nearly as much as Legacy of Goku 2, particularly because, well, it's the Boo Saga. I don't like the Boo Saga nearly as much as Cell Saga. Admittedly, Boo Saga has some amazing visuals, and overall, I think that they really got their art peak during the Boo Saga. But even so, even despite me not liking Boo Saga or Boo very much, still a great, great game. This game's visuals are definitely an improvement over Legacy of Goku 2. While the character selection isn't as good, because you don't get to play as Future Trunks, you don't get to play as Piccolo. You play as Kid Trunks, which, I mean, I guess I talk as Kid Trunks, so I should be happy, right? But even though the character selection is not quite as good as Legacy of Goku 2, it's still an awesome character selection. I like the more extra RPG elements with hooking up, like being able to come across like new things to put on your character to give them, like, you know, bonuses, RPG bonuses and stuff. And well, here's a game that I genuinely hated, Dragon Ball GT Transformation. This is a terrible game, but either way, I gotta have it. And hell, you know, I man, what else can I talk about? I mean, hey, you know, some of my favorite toys, some of my favorite Dragon Ball Z toys to get at the time. I would love to go to KB Toys in Lake Success. That was in New Hyde Park, New York. They used to have like those dope ass toys that you couldn't get when you went to Toys R Us, because my dad would always almost take me to Toys R Us to get a new Dragon Ball Z toy. And but then I would love to go to Lake Success because they had these toys that you couldn't find there. There was some dope stuff that I picked up from KB Toys. I had Gohan with his technically Super Saiyan 2 hair, and he was at that point. It was in the Boo Saga where he had his Saiyaman gi, like, you know, burned off of him, but he just had that black stuff, the black undershirt or just under outfit under his Saiyaman outfit. So I had like just that black out. Man, he looks so dope. The detail in that figure was pretty dope at the time too. He wasn't highly posable, but at that time, a lot of figures weren't very highly posable. Some of the very first figures I had actually were, I'm sure some of the old heads would know. They sold figures that weren't necessarily, they were already like kind of like pre-posed. You can like move their arms around a little bit, but you would essentially put their blasts, shove them into the character's hands, and he would be locked and loaded and you could just shoot him out. Those were some early on Dragon Ball toys. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite toys to get as a kid, that I had as a kid, I actually had two of them. I had like one that I battle damaged. That was how obsessed I was. I would have battle damaged figures and then perfectly clean looking figures. Yeah, I was that serious about my role playing with my action figures. So one of my favorite toys was the Goku that was in Super Saiyan form. And mind you, I had gotten that toy before Super Saiyan even premiered on Dragon Ball Z, so I didn't know what was going on with Homeboy's hair, but I had to have the figure just because it was like, what is this? And the cool thing about that figure was you could take off his shirt, so like it would snap on, and then you could have like, you could take it off and have Goku, you know, looking all brolic and shit. That was such a cool figure. Oh my gosh. And I'm kind of sad I never got the Vegeta figure of that one, because they did sell it, but I did not like Vegeta as a kid. I actually hated Vegeta as a kid. It's crazy now he's like my favorite character, but yeah, I wish I had gotten that figure too, but what are you gonna do, right? Other figures I remember getting the 2-packs. One of them I got was, you know, Ascended Saiyan Trunks and Ascended Saiyan Vegeta in a 2-pack. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. I also had gotten the 2-pack of Battle Damaged Goku and Battle Damaged Frieza, Super Saiyan Goku. I love those too. Oh my gosh. I had the saddest thing is that I don't have my Timberland boot box full of figures from Dragon Ball. I wish I still had those. I don't know what happened to them. I was looking for them very, very intently when I just before I moved out of New York, and I just could never ever find them, even in my basement. It kind of sucks because I had some sick dope toys. Um I had a figure of Krillin with all his hair. He was like posed like this. Like I said, a lot of these figures weren't very highly posable. That wasn't really much of a thing at the time. Some of them were, which was cool, but there was some more so the later ones when I was like in that 10, 11 range, whereas like a lot of the earlier figures when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, not so much in terms of posability. But man, I had such great times with the Dragon Ball Z. I remember having the Dragon Ball toys of Krillin and Kid Krillin, Kid Goku, and their Master Roshi's gi that they gave him, training gi. And those were actually hard to stand up because the way that they would actually be posed, I think they were posed in like fight form, like in fight stance. And they had really big heads, so they were really hard to stand up when they were posing. It was kind of like a fight just to get them to stand properly, but even so, I love those too. And a great time to watch Toonami was when Dragon Ball came on, and right afterwards Dragon Ball Z would come on, or was it backwards? I can't remember. I think it was Dragon Ball Z, and they would have like 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z, so it'd run from 5 to 6. And I think Dragon Ball would have like an episode from like 6 right afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, guys, I forget more than I remember. But yeah, I mean, Akira Toriyama has left me with some amazing memories, stuff that'll be sparked like that. Some things that I don't remember right now, but I'll remember later on. And I'm really grateful to him for making my childhood, for giving me what I wanted when I couldn't find it, which was martial arts, stuff that stuff like Bruce Lee stuff. That's what I wanted as a kid. But I'm forever grateful. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. Let me know what you guys. Let me know your guys' story about Akira Toriyama, how he inspired you, or some great little memory that you have that revolves around him, his work, or if it just be Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Quest, whatever have you. Let me know if you're looking forward to any games that his work is a part of. And yeah, guys, no negativity here, just all positivity, and just thinking of one of the greatest creators of our time, and really just giving him that respect, and just making sure that everyone knows that from our experiences that we are sharing, that everyone else knows that this is a man that had accomplished a lot, and that we are grateful. And that's what's important to express, that we are grateful for his contributions to making our childhoods, to making time that could have been super boring so much more fun, and just leaving us with this memory that will carry forever and will share. If it be telling your kids about it, or sharing Dragon Ball with your children, or niece, nephew, whatever have you. But yeah, guys, that's my general experience with Akira Toriyama's work. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Twitter, Kick if you'd like to continue the conversation. And guys, with that being said, I'm out. Peace.